In my fear, I believed a lie all those years. I was trying to hide away, ashamed of the light of day. Made a choice, thinking I'd be free, but that choice, it imprisoned me in my shame. Till I stepped into the light of God's light, the healing began. I'm free from the shame, I'm healed of the pain. I will be silent no more. I'm free from the lies, love opens my eyes. I will be silent no more. Love broke through to the heart of me. Now the truth has come and set me free from the past. When I stepped into the light of God's love, forgiven at last, I'm free from the shame, I'm healed of the pain. I will be silent no more. I'm free from the lies, love opens my eyes. I will be silent no more. There is power in my story, freedom from this night. There is healing and forgiveness if we step into the light. I'm free from the shame, I'm healed of the pain. I will be silent no more. I'm free from the lies, love opens my eyes. I will be silent no more. I'm free from the shame, I'm healed of the pain. I will be silent no more. I'm free from the lies, love opens my eyes. I will be silent no
Hello, I'm Janet Morana, Executive Director of Prees for Life. Welcome to Just Ask Janet. And of course, Silent No More. Yes, that is the goal, to assist women, men, and family members that have been hurt by abortion, bring them through healing so that they too can be silent no more. Well, joining me today is a dear friend and colleague with Silent No More. Her name is Melissa Hemphill, and she's our regional coordinator for the Silent No More Awareness Campaign out in Boise, Idaho. So, Melissa, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Janet. Thanks so much for having me. What a
well, it's a pleasure for me. And of course, we're so blessed to have you as one of our regional coordinators out there in Idaho. But, before we talk about your work as a regional coordinator and what that means, why don't we go back and tell our people about your abortion experience a little bit?
I was a senior in high school at 17 and found that I was pregnant. Looking, not a great home life, okay, but my dad was really pretty much absentee because he worked all the time. And so I found that I was pregnant, and it was in 1973. My mother had said to me, if you ever get pregnant, this was after Roe v. Wade was passed, if you ever get pregnant, you're going to have an abortion. You're not going to, it was like, you're not going to shame us. And then I found myself pregnant. So I knew that there was nothing that I was going to be able to do. And went to New York City, probably to Margaret Sanger clinic. And I believe that Bernard Nathanson was the abortionist there at that time. I remember he was an older man. And it was nothing like what they said. Of course, they didn't tell me much. They didn't say much at all. They separate when we went in. They separated the men from the women. I have a girlfriend and her boyfriend went with me. We took the train up. It was a rainy Sunday morning, and when I walked in, it was dark, 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 dark. Everything. I can remember walking back toward somewhere, and there was a young African American girl in fetal position, just crying on a chair. Nobody paid any attention to her. Nobody did anything for her. Nobody did a thing. And that should have been my first indication of what was going to happen. I went into the was taken into the room where the abortion was going to happen, and the nurse was in there, and then the doctor came in and said, "Oh, it's just going to be a little pinch, not going to hurt at all." And the cramping was really severe. I reached out my hand to the nurse who was in there, who backed away from me and looked at me as though I was I don't know, just looked at me with this disgusted look on her face, never touched me, never did anything. And people have the lie that they're going to take care of you, that they're going to make sure that you're fine and that this isn't going to hurt a bit. Alveda King said that they told her that it wouldn't be any worse than having a tooth pulled. Well, it's a lot worse. So I went home in a fog, continued in a fog. When I got home, my mother said to me, "So how was it?" And I said, "Oh, it was awful. Don't say anything. You're talking too loud." And that was the last time that anything was said about my abortion to me at home.
Right.
We never
And Melissa, that's a classic, as you know, because you also deal with the women who've had abortions now and bringing them to healing. Um, the cloud of shame begins to come right over, because the family, if they know about the abortion, they don't want you talking about it, good or bad, nothing. They don't want to hear about it. They want it swept under the carpet, pretend like it never happened. So many, as you know, the women's testimonies on Silent No More say, yeah, I have to pretend like that this day didn't happen and move on. But tell our people here now, did you move on? Did you go back to school and everything was wonderful again? Or did anything change?
Well, I went back to school, but everything wasn't wonderful again. And I was pretty classic. I didn't do a lot of drinking. That wasn't really anything that I did. That, as I said, that was in 1973.
Wow.
We did smoke marijuana and drop some pills every once in a while, but that wasn't where I went off the rails, so to speak. It was more the trauma that bothered me the most, that I didn't realize until literally 40 years later that was what it was. I had terrible, terrible nightmares. I had dreams of being overtaken by a huge wave at the ocean. Had dreams of people dying and of them just looking at them and then walking away. I had these awful, awful dreams that still haunt me. I mean, I don't have the nightmares any longer, but I had that promiscuity, failed marriage. It's just, I was pretty classic for the most
Well, it's like they say, looking for love in all the wrong places. And as always, I'm sure your relationship with the boyfriend that was the father of the baby, that ended, right?
Oh, it ended immediately. And the really interesting part about it was that one of my friends became pregnant by him very shortly after, and he married her. They had 3 children together.
Wow. Huh.
He said that he didn't believe that it was his baby, but obviously somehow or another he did believe that.
Right.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone and gotten somebody else pregnant right away and then married her.
Right. So, how long did it take you, though, Melissa, until you said, I have to get help? And how did you find healing? And what was your path to healing?
Well, my path for healing was really actually pretty long. I started to feel something in my heart, and I started to believe that abortion was not the right thing to do. It was not correct. And I started doing research. I started listening to conservative radio. I started listening to everything, listening and watching everything that I could that was anti-abortion, and learning all about that. And even then, it didn't all click for me. Um, but I started doing that, and then it that sense of needing to do something to help other women who had been through an abortion got stronger and stronger and stronger. And I started looking things up, and I found Silent No More and called, and I spoke to Georgette. Georgette was really instrumental in my healing. She
Right.
was the one who catapulted me into it. And
And
I
of course, for our viewers, Georgette Forney co-founded the Silent No More Awareness Campaign with me, and
Right.
she is president of Anglicans for Life. So, so what abortion recovery program did you end up seeking out?
I found a healing program that was called okay, my brain just went dead. Because I actually helped with the book. It was Path. It was called Path.
Oh yeah,
It
post-abortion trauma and
trauma
healing.
healing, yeah. But it was in Maryland, in Northern Virginia, Washington D.C. actually, because
Ah,
that's where I was living, was Washington D.C. I'd been there for 30 years,
wow.
and when I spoke to Georgette, she said, "No, honey, you can't help until after you've been through healing." So I found this healing program, the Path program, and it started like in 2 weeks, which was a miracle, I thought. And it was like strike while the iron is hot, because if you don't take that step, you're never going to do it. So
Right.
I went through the healing process, and that was when I realized that the trauma, that it was such a trauma to my body, to my psyche, to my soul, to my heart, everything. It just traumatized me as a person.
Right.
Um, 8 years after the abortion, I had an ectopic pregnancy,
Wow.
and I have no doubt that that was caused by the abortion.
Right. So then now you went from the DC area out to Boise, Idaho. How did you get out there?
Well, I really and truly believe that the Lord moved us out here. My husband was from northern Minnesota, never liked being in DC. We were both there for work. He was active duty military attached to the White House for many, many years. And when he retired, it was like, well, there's nothing keeping us here except for all of our friends. And we were not far from my family, which was in New Jersey. So, but we just felt that the Lord was moving us and that we needed to go. We had friends out here, and we came out here sight unseen, packed, sold our house at open house, packed up. 4 weeks, 5 weeks later, we were on our way to Idaho.
Wow.
Here we
Amazing.
are.
And I know now you're very active out in Idaho. Of course, you're our regional coordinator for Silent No More in Boise. And so for our people that are wondering, well, what does a regional coordinator do? Well, basically, we have our website, silentnomore.com. And if you go up there and you fill out and say, I need healing, I want help, we connect you with the local person, which in this case, if you're in Boise, would be Melissa. And then, Melissa, you kind of connect them with the healing resources that are out in Boise, don't you?
Right. That's what we try to do, is connect them with that. I'm also trained in doing past abortion healing. And so they could meet with me as well, and we could walk through together. I have some other past abortion healed women that have gone through healing that would partner with me, and we could walk them through healing. If they didn't want to do that, we could send them wherever it was that they wanted to go. And we have a Rachel's Vineyard every fall here that we could connect them to as well, that I could connect them to as well.
Yeah. Have you ever been on the Rachel's Vineyard retreat?
No, I have not.
I recommend it. Give it a whirl. Because I know people who've gone through different healing programs and then they've tried Rachel's Vineyard and they're like, wow, that's just another level of healing. And again, for our people that are watching, Rachel's Vineyard, of course, is a retreat program developed by Dr. Teresa Burke and her husband, Kevin. And of course, Rachel's Vineyard is a ministry now under Priest for Life. It's a weekend. I've been trained and have conducted quite a few Rachel's Vineyard retreats for people. And it's pretty amazing. You go on a Friday night and you can always see the women and men coming in with that anxious look on their face, and by Sunday, it's like, oh my goodness, they're new people because of going back and really dealing with that abortion experience and having an opportunity to name that child if the Lord gives you a name. And usually I've seen it happen so many times on this retreat where God will put a name on their hearts and they get to write a letter to their child and tell their story. I think it's the first time, wouldn't you say, Melissa, any abortion recovery program where a woman gets to finally let someone hear her heart about her story, who's not going to be judgmental, who's going to receive that information and not want to sweep it under the rug. I mean, wasn't that your experience the first time when you went through that healing that, oh, these are people who are finally listening to me, right?
Oh, it was so freeing. I went in the very first meeting, and I was like, okay, so when can I start talking? Can I, because you felt that you just knew that it was a safe place.
Right.
You knew that there were people that knew how you felt what you had gone through. There wasn't going to be anything that was said to you that would be in any way disparaging, make you feel badly, make you feel guilty, because you already have enough guilt. I mean, I piled the guilt on for 40 years, for crying out loud. So I didn't need any more guilt. But Wendy, who was the facilitator and the author of this program, she was like, "Oh, well, we're not really ready to do that yet." So I was like, "Okay."
You were like a horse at the starting gate, ready to get out and go.
Ready to go.
Yeah. Well, if people want to read your testimony and so many others, just go to abortiontestimony.com. And up there, we have a beautiful search engine. So you can get specific as to the types of abortion testimonies you want to read. So if you want to read first trimester abortion, you would click there and they'll start sorting up for you to take a look at. Second trimester, we have late term abortion testimonies. And also different circumstances. We have them sorted that way. Maybe you want to read a testimony of someone who was raped and hear about the regret over that abortion. And so many of those women who were raped and then went on to have an abortion say, being raped was a trauma, but now the abortion was a trauma on top of a trauma, and it didn't help me. So there's those kinds of testimonies. There's ones that are life of the mother, where a doctor was telling a woman, you have to abort the child or you're going to die. And they found out later, well, no, that wasn't the case. And they feel so guilty that they listened and caved in. So we have all kinds of testimonies up there. There's testimonies even of the dads, the fathers, from their perspective. We have testimonies of grandparents who regret with the grandparents is different circumstances. Some is where the grandparent took their daughter off for that abortion. And Melissa, I mean, your mom didn't take you, but it sounded like your mom would have taken you because, she was advocating for the abortion. And so some grandparents have that, where the guilt of harming their child, but also being responsible for the death of their grandchild. And then, of course, some grandparents don't know their daughters go off and have an abortion and find out years later. Now, in your case with your mom, now that you've gone through healing, did you ever reconcile with her about the abortion or have a chance to talk to her about it?
Unfortunately, no. She passed in 2006. And
Oh,
I went through healing about 7 years after that.
oh, wow. Yeah. That's unfortunate, when you don't have that chance for that kind of closure. But at
But I
least you got.
remember when my mom died, we didn't have the privilege of being with her when she passed away. But when I was able to be with her body in the hospital before they came and took it, um, I said to her, I said, "Well, Mom, you get to meet your grandchildren now, your first and second grandchildren now. I'm sure that they were there waiting for you."
Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Yeah, and that just leads me to the book I wrote, "Shockwaves: Abortion's Widest Circle of Victims," where I talk about that whole effect, where at the epicenter is the death of the child, but reverberating out is the effect that it reaches everybody, really: the mom, the dad, the grandparents, future siblings, and then people missing from the family tree, right? Because aunts, uncles, cousins, all these people are missing the benefit of those children that are no more. So, and I know you're on the local radio there in Boise too, aren't you, Melissa?
I am. That's one of the other privileges that I have, as being the regional coordinator for Silent No More, is that I'm on Salt and Light Radio in Boise the second Monday of every month, and I bring that shockwave for that month. And
Right.
your book has been has been invaluable to me. I'm in it every single solid month.
Oh, that's great.
I love it.
Well,
For that.
so anyway, for those who would like to get a copy, just go to prolifeproducts.org. That's our online store, and you can order a copy of Shockwaves: Abortion's Wider Circle of Victims. It goes into depth about how the fact, like we're saying, that abortion affects everybody, all of society. I mean, when you think about it, how many millions and millions of children aren't here in our country and around the world, for that matter, because of abortion? And, Melissa, it's so funny because some people say to me, yeah, Janet, we still haven't gotten a cure for cancer, but maybe God sent a doctor to have that cure, but that child was aborted and never had a chance to be born. So we need to think about that, the children that are missing. In fact, Norma McCorvey, the Jane Roe of the Roe v. Wade decision, as you know, she never had an abortion, but she was used by the abortion industry to legalize it. And of course, she became 100% pro-life, and until her death worked tirelessly to try to overturn the decision. But she used to find it very difficult to look at a playground, especially if it's an empty playground with the swings going back and forth, because she said, I looked at those swings and thought, I'm responsible for those swings being empty. And that was it was first and foremost in her mind, that the empty swings, in the playground. So, but we really want to invite you, brothers and sisters. Melissa is just one of, we have close to 80 regional coordinators all over the United States. And this way, when you contact us at our website, silentnomore.com, and you want to join the campaign and find healing, wonderful people like Melissa are in touch with you. So you right away reach out and touch someone. That's what they do. They'll send you an email and ask you if you'd like to talk, and then they'll assist you in finding healing. So, Melissa, what I can say is God bless you, and we appreciate so much the fact that you have stepped out. And how many years now have you been a regional coordinator?
Since I got here in 2013.
Wow, that's it. So this is almost 8 years.
Yep, that was the very first thing I did when I got here. I reached out to Georgette. I said, "Okay, Georgette, I'm here. I'm ready to go. Let's get this show on the road."
Yeah,
because there
and
was
of course
here.
I got to meet you about a year and a half ago when I came out to Boise with the Stanton Healthcare for the opening of their new their abortion recovery, not recovery, but their crisis pregnancy center that's right across from Planned Parenthood. So, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. Unfortunately, Planned Parenthood still has their teeth in America with abortion clinics all over our country. And, I always say to everybody, you know what? If Roe v. Wade is overturned tomorrow, our work is just beginning, because the amount of people who are still out there who are wounded and need help are enormous. And so on behalf of Georgette Forney, Father Pavone, and all of us here, we want to thank you, Melissa, for continuing to serve as a regional coordinator. And thank you for joining us today on Just Ask Janet.
Thank you. It's my honor to serve in that way.
Okay. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you too for joining us here today. And I just want to remind you, this book, Shockwaves, Abortion's Widest Circle of Victims. I'd love to send it to you. Go to prolifeproducts.org and place an order for this book. It's very, very good as far as really delving into the damage abortion is doing. And it also allow you such good information that you can reach out and help other people. Again, if you know someone who's hurting from an abortion, just go to abortionforgiveness.com. That's abortionforgiveness.com. You just have to put in your zip code. It will show you where the nearest Rachel's Vineyard and other abortion recovery programs are right in your own backyard. So again, thank you for joining us for this episode of Just Ask Janet. Until next time, God bless.